night, nickel made a significant move up to $16,700 a ton, and which was around about an 8% move. And this seems to be attributed to Indonesia export bans and talk around such. Horizonte Minerals is a company that I've covered in previous videos on my channel. This is a snap video just to give potential investors a view on some of the economics and what the impact on a big nickel rise would be for the company and the flagship project, which is the Araguaia project. You can see from this chart here that historically nickel and has peaked up to levels of around $50,000 a ton in 2007. So nickel can move when it wants to. And if you look at over the course of the last sort of like 10 years or so, and this chart's slightly out of date, but you can see that nickel really has come down to a floor level and is now, in my opinion, starting to re-rate and make a move. And it's interesting because there's various views from different analysts and market commentators, but the Wood Mackenzie long-term nickel price they're setting at around $21,000 per ton. This is significant for Horizonte because Horizonte is they've produced their DFS and their base case assumption is $14,000 a ton. So essentially, you're talking about a significant increase in the long-term view versus the base case of the Araguaia project. If you go to the Horizonte website, you can find information on the Araguaia project, which is the first of their Tier 1 nickel projects. There's actually an interesting calculator here that you can use to start producing some of the economics based on different nickel price levels. And you'll see here at the 14,000, we'll go for the stage 2, which is the stage 2 expansion of the Araguaia plant. You can see that $14,000 a ton returns an NPV of 741 million and free cash flow over the life of the mine of 2.55 billion with a standing capex cost of 443 million. Now, if we move up the ladder in the nickel price to where it hit last night, which is around $16,500 a ton, you can see that the NPV now moves up to 1.2 billion with a 31% IRR and 3.87 billion in free cash flow. Now, the long-term nickel price is set at 21,000 by Wood Mackenzie. That puts an NPV figure on the project of 2 billion, 41.8% IRR, 6.26 billion in free cash flow. Note the capex remains the same, so the free cash flow is after the capex is paid back. So you can see the disparity now in the free cash flow produced over the life of the mine versus the initial capex. If we do one last move and we move the price up to say $25,000 a ton, which is half of where nickel moved to in 2007 in a similar market where nickel was coming off lows, and it happened very quickly, as you can see from that chart. We're now talking about an NPV of nearly 3 billion, free cash flow of 8.37 billion, an IRR of 50%. Now, obviously Horizonte at the moment with Araguaia, they're probably the most advanced AIM Junior with their DFS fully completed, producing these numbers as you see here. They are fully permitted and they are construction ready with the construction license awarded. This is the first Tier 1 project, which in itself is a pretty remarkable project when you look at these figures. And it's probably the only AIM company at the moment that's that advanced with its underlying commodity trading 15% higher today than its base case assumption. This for me is significant, especially when you look at the current market cap of only around 30 million and you compare that to other junior miners on the AIM market at the moment. Some that haven't completed DFSs or some that have, but the commodity is trading lower than their base case assumptions even. This is why I think Horizonte, and I have for the last couple of years, even when it was up, the share price was up at around 3 or 4 pence, I thought at that point in time it was good value. I think today it's incredible value, and I've been building a bigger position where funds allow. The financing package is being worked on at the moment, and if you look at numbers like this, I don't think they're going to have a problem if they can get a consortium together to raise that capital finance. And if they can raise that capital finance, they can start building the mine, and this company will be producing in a couple of years' time, probably in the sweet spot of the market. And the last thing to mention before I close out is that Vermelho, which is the second tier one project, they've done battery testing on that, and their class that can produce class one nickel, which is the nickel sulfate used for EV batteries. And given the rise of EVs over the next few years, in fact the next decade, Horizonte will be fantastically placed with that asset. There's a PFS due to come out shortly, but significantly for Horizonte, they've got a step plan where they're going to be able to move from the put the Araguaia project into construction, build cash flow, and then be able to fund the second project. So for me, Horizonte Minerals is probably one of the most compelling junior mining investments if you're a bull on nickel, and in terms of where it currently sits today and its valuation. Thank you.